And on the opposite side, if your body temperature increases above the set point, your brain, hypothalamus, detects that and initiates the responses of blood vessels dilating at the skin, sweating is produced. To cool you off, your body temperature drops. When the body temperature gets back to the set point, your thermostat, hypothalamus, shuts down those responses. So again, an example of a negative feedback mechanism in thermal regulation. So let's look at osmoregulation, the maintenance of basically the water balance in your cells and tissues. So living cells depend on the precise balance of water and solutes, meaning things that are dissolved in water, the liquid environment around the cells, the interstitial fluid, but also within the cells themselves. So osmoregulation is control or loss of water balance, and of those solutes, ions like sodium chloride and other salts. And different organisms have different challenges of osmoregulation. If you're a saltwater organism, like a turtle or a fish, the challenge you have is excess water loss, because there's higher solute levels outside versus inside the animal, and that draws water out. If you're a freshwater animal, like a salamander or a fish, the challenge is the opposite, where you're gaining excess water because your cells and your interstitial fluid and your tissues have a higher solute concentration than the freshwater, and that draws water in. If you're a terrestrial animal, well, then the problem is water loss through evaporation, desiccation. So you need mechanisms to prevent that, like dry skin, for example, or scales on a lizard. So again, if you're a saltwater fish, you lose water because there's less salt in your tissues versus the external environment, and that draws out water via osmosis. So saltwater fish respond by drinking excess water, by drinking lots of salt water, and then they have mechanisms to expel the excess salt. On the flip side of that, if you're a freshwater fish, there's a lower solute concentration outside in the surrounding water, and versus the organism, so that draws in water because there's a higher solute concentration inside the fish, so that draws in water from the outside environment. So the challenge here is excess water buildup within the animal, within the fish, and they respond by literally having a really dilute urine. They're always constantly peeing to get rid of the excess water that's being sucked into the fish in a way by osmosis. So both type of organisms have mechanisms to deal with water gain and loss, meaning they're able to do osmoregulation. Terrestrial animals lose water by urinating, defecating, going to the bathroom, you lose some water, breathing, some water vapor is lost, perspiring, like when we sweat. So to counterbalance that water loss, we drink, or we eat food, and we get water from the food depending on what we're eating. If you're eating, like, I don't know, fruit, peach, it's got fair amount of moisture, and you get a lot of water gain from that. Other animals get it by metabolic processes. And if you remember, we talked about the kangaroo rat a while back. The animals, these kangaroo rats, actually never have to drink water. They get all the metabolic water, all the water they need from metabolic water. Where's my cursor? And that's from the breakdown of things they eat, like seeds in their environments. Okay? And that's it for this chapter.